There we go. There we go. Sorry, it looks like we had a little mix-up there for a second. I don't know how long that lasted for. Hopefully not too long. Sorry about that. I think there was a problem with the audio. Okay. Anyway. So yeah, we were drinking this tea earlier today. And like I was saying a few episodes ago, whenever like a tea is going to go out on the JoJo Club, I want to spend a lot of time with it so that I can write about it in an effective way. And what I'm getting out of this tea, like I usually try to go for bigger leaf raw pours, right? I like really big leaves for my pour tea because I don't know if it's just a mental thing, because like pu'er tea comes from old trees, you know? So because it comes from old trees, I tend to think like that I want to see bigger leaves, and I tend to get better flavor out of bigger leaves. Big leaves give you like a nice, really thick flavor profile if they're processed the right way, of course, and if they're aged the right way with right amount of humidity and so forth. So, so I've had some really nice. Jesus Christ, there's a fly in here that's gonna drive me crazy. Sorry about that. So yeah. Anyway, this is a 4 as far as the leaf grade, and 4 is quite small, honestly. It's smaller than I would usually go to. What's up, Elise? Hey, that's cool. I like your emote. That's pretty dope. How's it going? How's it going today? Thanks for tuning in. Cheers. So yeah, so like this is like the pour that like we said, 7542. That recipe came out in 1975. You know, and in 1975. Chinese tea was state produced. Thank you so much, Elise. It's great to receive your beautiful energy. I appreciate that. I was gonna say it's great to see your beautiful face, but no. Then great to hear your beautiful voice. Then no. And just great to receive your digital transmission. That doesn't do it. Great to receive the zeros and ones that you intentionally sent into the digital sphere. No, that's not it. So thank you for your intention and your energy. All right. So before before the early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of these like really big leaf, small batch, productions of raw pour. There was more like, it was all state owned, and the state did it a very particular way. You know, the state there was no like small batch old tree cakes, right? Because they didn't differentiate between young tree and old tree back then as much as we do now. Instead, they had like kind of like they would just gather it all together and then blend the tea together and make the batch and package it as such, you know? Which has a very... It's kind of unfortunate when we consider everything that we know now about aging pour, you know? The practice of aging pour is actually pretty new. It's pretty fresh. So because that practice is fresh, like the teas that started being produced in small batches after 2006 are really great because they were put together with everything that we know about tea aging and what's going to make it taste the best. But all of the batches that were put together before that were put together, like, I don't want to say haphazardly, because that's not quite the right word. I guess it was a different intention behind the production. In those days, the goal was to make replicable recipes, where you could have a blend of 800-year-old trees, 200-year-old trees, and 40-year-old trees, and the complexity of the way that those all went together is, I mean, and not only that, but like 250-year-old trees from Nannuoshan, and then like 40-year-old trees from Yola, and 60-year-old trees from Bonanshan, and then and then you could blend those three together, right, and create this particular recipe. So not only does the age of the trees affect the flavors, but then also, excuse me, sorry, it was a long day today. I was practicing shooting basket. I practiced shooting basket. By the way, I'll share some good news with you if you're ready. If you're ready. Virgin Cruise Lines looks like they're launching in September. They were gonna be launching. I mean, they've changed it a million times right now, but they're launching in September. I just found out earlier today, a moment ago, which is really exciting for us. It's the first time that we ever work with a cruise line, so it'll be really cool to see. It'll be really cool to be associated with Virgin and to be able to work with them. Hey, Jim, thanks for joining again. Cheers, my friend. How's it going? Thanks for hanging out with us today. So I'm talking about this show is brought to us by Jojo Tea. It's always important to say that. So this we're putting together a tea program. Jim, Elise already knows. She helped me put it together. We're putting together a tea program with Virgin Cruise Lines, and we put together a kind of like a English breakfast tea blend, and two of the components come from Elise. They're from cooperatives. One of them, and from Tiled. I'm sorry. One of them is from Assam. It's the Heritage Cooperative with Rajan Barua, and then the other one comes from the Hariali Cooperative in Nepal, and that's a baby amber red. So we made this like English breakfast 2.0 kind of blend for them. It's called the Morning After, for obvious reasons. And they were supposed to launch in March of 2020, and then that was obviously like April of 2020, excuse me. And then that's when COVID hit and the world fell apart. Nice. Jim, you discovered sticky rice sheng from Li Shulin from Nannuoshan. Nice. That sounds dope. I'm drinking right now just raw pour 7542 aged in a New York cellar in controlled humidity of about 70% for let's see, 2007, 14 years. Yeah. Those sticky rice shungs are interesting. They're like sometimes they kind of really trip me out. So, oh, nice. All right, cheers. You're having sticky rice right now. Enjoy it. That sounds good. I'm glad we're all sipping. Elise, what are you sipping on? Are you sipping on anything right now? Are you getting your bladder ready for tonight's stream? That sounded weird. For tonight's stream. All right. You're having sticky rice or sticky rice tea, by the way, just to confirm. All right. So, where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about the tea. Good. I'm frying bacon. That's great. Cheers. Enjoy the bacon. I'm sure Bitcoin will enjoy the bacon too. All right. Yeah. So we're live right now on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. I think we're live on Facebook as well. Thank you for tuning in. It's rock and roll day. Happy Wednesday. That's right. March 24th. So, yeah. So we're drinking the 7542. I think I spoke enough about the tea. I think we're ready to move on. As I brew it, I might think about other things, or if something comes up in the chat, we'll continue to discuss it. So yeah, so I went to a stand-up comedy show last night, and some crazy shit went down. Some violent shit went down, and I think that like it's it. I'm gonna try and talk about this with as much of a sense of humor as I can, because otherwise it's like it's gonna be dark, But it's like I think we've got like a real challenge, like a real challenging time ahead. Like there's a lot of like desperation and a lot of pent up anger, Like people that had there was a lot of desperation and pent up anger before COVID, Obviously. And I'm gonna take this off of the table just because those red lights are kind of driving me crazy. Hang on one second. Yeah, whatever. All right. So this is what happened last night at the comedy show. I'm gonna start with that and just kind of set the stage there, and then we'll go into why I think it's important to talk about it. Bitcoin. So, okay, I was waiting to go up on stage, right? And as I was waiting to go up on stage, I like kind of glanced outside and I saw some people kind of like talking to each other and like getting in each other's faces, And then people were like holding each other back and all that stuff. And like growing up in Miami, that's kind of normal. You see that kind of stuff all the time. It's like, or I shouldn't say you see that kind of stuff all the time. I should say I saw that kind of stuff all the time, right? Because it hasn't been normal lately, since we've become adults. People don't generally get into fist fights and shit like that, Of course, like at any moment, something can happen, and sometimes things do. But so at the end of the show, I walked outside and everybody was kind of like there. It was clear that there was tension and that something was like about to go down. You could feel it. And then, but then like there were these two guys. We'll call them Daniel and Sean. All right. So Daniel and Sean, I'm going to try to remember those names just out of respect for their privacy. So Daniel and Sean, although this shit is already blowing up with like Miami's stand-up community on Instagram and all that stuff. So it's crazy. This is what happens. I get outside and like somebody's holding Daniel back and somebody's holding Sean back, and they're both kind of yelling at each other. And then they end up, and then the guy that's holding Sean back takes Sean to his car, and then the guy that's holding Daniel back takes Daniel and he walks away, right? At this point, I'm like, all right, the show's over. These guys are, and Daniel's a friend of mine, I should say. And Sean is an acquaintance, but we've never hung out or anything. Daniel and I have hung out a few times. We're friends. So I go into my car to leave because it's like, okay, they're separated or apart. It's late. I'm gonna go home. I get in my car to leave, and then when I get in the car to leave, I see Sean take off running toward Daniel. And I started like beeping a lot, hoping that like somebody would hear or something. And then I got out of the van and I ran over there around the corner, and Daniel and Sean were fighting, with Sean on top of Daniel, like punching him. And it's like I said, Daniel's my friend, and like this, and like at the end, and what's both of them are like successful Miami stand-up comedians. You know, one of them left Miami and has been doing comedy in LA for the past like 7 years, but he's a really important like asset to the Miami comedy scene because he's a good comic and he's like dependable and he's good, you know, and he can execute. And he's a good guy. He cares a lot. But then this other guy, Sean, he's also a good comic and he's like putting a lot into the Miami community and so forth. So, you know, I saw them fighting each other and like I really didn't want them to fight each other. And I did something really stupid. I tried to like break them up, and as I was trying to break them up, some guy came and like some guy was like trying to record it for World Star. You know, he was like, "Oh, World Star, yeah," and he was like recording it, and then I was like, "No," and I tried to separate them, and then the guy like tried to grab me and pull me apart, and he like his hand slipped and he like elbowed me in the head, and then he was like, "Yo, you better stop or I'm gonna start throwing bows." And I was like, "Man, you're already throwing bows. Just relax. This doesn't need to happen." And I pulled them apart. But then when I pulled Sean off, and somebody else pulled Daniel off, then they got like they both went into like a rage when they had separated from each other. Then they just wanted to like clobber each other, you know, and then it got really dark, and they started like throwing chairs and throwing bottles, and they had to close the bar. They had to like shutter the bar while these guys were fighting outside and throwing shit. And like you know, it's like, man, in the past week we've had like 2 shootings. You know, we had the shooting at the spa. We had the shooting at the Asian spa. It's terrible, man. We had the shooting at the grocery store in Colorado, and you know, we're all going through such a tough time, of course. But I just think that like at a time like this, where like, you know, we know that we're not gonna see any like meaningful gun control legislation or anything like that. We know that we're not gonna see that, you know, and we know that at the end of the day, shit can pop off at any second, you know? And like, I think that it's, it might seem a little dark to say that, but I think that like, if we don't acknowledge reality for what it is, what are we doing, you know? The truth of it is that we live in a violence obsessed culture, you know? And like, and we're all guilty of it, bro. Like, how many times have I watched Pulp Fiction? How many times, you know, it's like, it's a culture that celebrates violence, especially as retribution, you know, and like as like redemption, you know. It's like we really celebrate when somebody can like reach redemption and reach their glory through violence, you know. And I'm a black belt in karate. I'm an amateur boxer, and I do jiu-jitsu. So like, I'm you know, I'm a part of it too. But I guess like, obviously, like I have no control over, you know, the rest, but I do have some control over myself, right? And like, where are the places that I can make my life less violent? Because Jesus Christ, like, I feel like the less I'm around violent situations, the less chance that I'm going to be around when somebody decides that they want to shoot up a fucking Taco Bell because Mitt Romney told them to in a dream or something. Let's have some tea. So I think like violence has like it seems like it has a lot to do with like insecurity, in the sense that like what am I trying to say? Let's see. Yeah, bro, good laugh, man. Hey, I don't want anybody laughing at this. I don't want anybody laughing. I'm very serious. Nobody's allowed to laugh on this show. No, bro. Yeah, but it's like you know, like there, it's like especially because of the isolation. Oh, let's turn the funk down a little bit. Especially because of the isolation, like people that have been isolated for so long, it's like, especially like if like I was talking to the guy from Virgin Voyages, their beverage director. In order to get onto the cruise ship right now, he has to spend 2 weeks in quarantine in a cruise cabin. Imagine 2 weeks in quarantine in a cruise cabin. Like, that's like 10 feet by 10 feet. You have to spend 2 weeks in there just in order to work. Okay. And I'm like, man, like these people need like meditation training. If we're asking them to spend 2 weeks in a room, you know, at the very least, you need like meditation training or some kind of like mental training for that kind of thing. That's really difficult. 2 weeks in a room. Now, what about the people that have been spending 1 year in a room? Like, without any sort of training in meditation and yoga and breathing and like, you know, or without any like without anything to keep them from following the loose strings of every thought, which is a dangerous thing, because that takes us through these journeys of possibilities and of paranoias and of rabbit holes, and where unrelated phenomena like seem to justify our paranoias. And I guess like I what I feel like is that, you know, the fact that all of this violence has happened in this week, you know, one is a very specific hate crime against a group of people. One was I guess we don't really know the motives yet for the murders in Boulder. And the third was about, I mean, I don't know what it was about, because I don't want to judge, you know what I mean? But it seems like it was about some insecurity, you know? It seemed like it was about some kind of like male toxicity. Who's the biggest man, you know? So I'm trying to think of what ties those all together, you know, what. Because like we're at this funny place now. Like, Miami has been open since what, like June, July, you know, and you know, we had basically like 1 month of really intense lockdowns, and then it started loosening up, and it's been loosening up since then, basically. To the point that now there's indoor dining, bars are open, you can sit down at the bar and have a drink. And, you know, there's not a lot of enforcement of social distancing or of mask wearing. But I mean, more there's not a lot of enforcement of social distancing. There's more enforcement of mask wearing that I'm seeing, but not of social distancing. But that's Miami, you know, and that's how Miami's been for a while. Now, there's a friend of ours, shout out to Frice Cream, Alyssa and Jeremy Frice. They have a ice cream company down here called Frice Cream. Delicious ice creams. They make ice cream out of our tea. and I had a banana salted caramel truffle ice cream that was really good. And she was saying that like her friends in Portland are reopening their restaurants now, and their restaurants have been closed since March of 2020. Ooh. Like, I can't imagine being out of business for a year and a half. We took a hard hit, but like they had to be closed completely for a year, and now is when they're opening up again. So I think about all of the people in those cities and all of those people that have been locked down and that were angry before the lockdowns and that were lonely before the lockdowns. And I'm really, really worried about the potential for violence, you know? I'm really worried about the potential for violence. So, like, for what it's worth, I wanted to, like, take today's time and ask you guys to please make sure you're careful, like, and to think out loud with you about, like, how we can make sure that we're careful and how we can make sure that because it's like, none of us are trained. Oh, you're in Portland, Jim? Wow. Damn. How's it going over there? Like, can you give me any insight? Because, I mean, it seems like East Coast and West Coast are so wildly different. It seems like the West Coast is so much more attuned to what's good for everybody, like to the collective good, you know? It seems like in the East Coast, at least in Miami, everybody's in such a fight to survive. You're close to opening more. Wow. You're close to opening more. So, like, I guess, well, it's like you can't really do outdoor dining in the same way that you can in Miami, right? Are there many spots that you can do outdoor dining? Or was there any outdoor dining going on over the summer? We have more. That's right. Definitely more of groupthink, man. Like, in the East Coast, I think it's such a survival mentality because we're such a... You did have outdoor dining in the summer. Okay, damn. So then just once it got cold again, maybe people had to go back into lockdowns. The hippies. Thank God for the hippies, though. Yeah, I think like at least in Miami, you know, we're like Miami's built on different waves of immigration. You know, waves of Cuban immigration, waves of Haitian immigration, waves of Russian immigration, waves of Puerto Rican immigration, waves of Venezuelan, Colombian, waves of Nicaraguan immigration, waves of Mexican immigration, and then also waves of immigration from the U.S. I guess it's not immigration, just waves of relocation from the U.S., you know? Places set up heated tents. Oh, that's dope. That sounds pretty cool. I wonder, like, what percentage, like, you know, could they accommodate maybe 20% of the traffic that they used to accommodate, etc.? I guess just the places that have access to outdoor seating. That was a big thing in Miami, was like the restaurants that happened to have access to outdoor seating were much better prepared. 25%. There you go. 25% hippies. Interesting. Man, I would have guessed that Portland was more than 25% hippies. But now we know that just 25% hippies can turn your city into friggin' Portland. That's pretty impressive. We're about to get too hot for outdoor seating in Vegas. Yeah. Oof. Man. I remember the first time I ever stepped outside in Vegas during the summer, I thought that somebody was playing a prank on me. I felt like I was in an oven. 100% weirdos. Ladies and gentlemen. 100% weirdos. Ladies and gentlemen, 100% weirdos today coming at you too on Mike Ortiz, brought to you by Mike Ortiz. And I mean, brought to you by JoJo Tees. Mike Ortiz with Mike Ortiz. Ladies and gentlemen, the funk has come alive on the Wednesday. March 24th, ladies and gentlemen, 2021. Sorry, I think it's important to have fun. We have a lot of artists, which is like hippies. Yeah, I think some artists, some artists have no hippie in them. That's interesting though, huh? How hippie is an artist, and how does that affect your view of them? That's an interesting little one right there. You know where I think it's an interesting intersection in hippies and art is in like hip hop, because there's groups like Diggable Planets that I feel like have plenty of that like beatnik hippie jazzy kind of thing going on, and I think that like this guy, there's this guy out today, JPEG Mafia, that he's a pretty cool rapper, but he's like a dark hippie, like dark like he plays with some like funky dark concepts and sounds, I don't know if I'm allowed to play it, and then or what happens if I play it, because I don't own the music, the rights to the music. So, all right, we talked plenty about the comedy thing. Actually, let's talk a little bit more about the actual comics though. There's something really interesting happening in comedy in Miami right now, because we've been open for a while, and like the bars are open and a lot of stand-up happens at bars. There's a bunch of stand-up comedians that are just moving over here from like all over the US, like last night it was an open mic at the Mighty on Coral Way, a random little open mic, and it's like at least half of the comedians had like TV specials, or no, at least half of the comedians had been on TV, and one of them had just filmed a special, and a couple of them like host different shows around Miami and stuff. So it was like there's pretty good talent, But then there was actually it was amazing how many people were from out of town. Were from LA, even from like West Palm Beach, but from Chicago, from Vegas actually. At least a comedian called Noé. He came over from Vegas because he wanted to be able to like keep on performing at open mics and stuff. So it's just an interesting little side note that Miami's stand-up community is getting an upgrade. So if you guys like stand-up, keep an eye out for go to Miami Stand-Up Comedy on Instagram, and you can get a sense of when the next shows are. I don't know if you have. I'm sure that there's stand-up comedy in Portland, but I don't know what the scene is like or anything like that. Like we said, you guys are more like socially conscious than us, though. I think like more flies in, or like, oh my God, Elise, you would hate this. A lot of the shit, a lot of the jokes that are told, that a lot of the excuses for jokes that are told at stand-up comedy open mics. It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, theoretically, the whole idea of the open mic is that you're working on new material, you're writing stuff, and then you're testing it out, and you're seeing what works, and then you're taking what works, and you're collecting it, and you're taking what doesn't work and throwing it out. And but then I've seen like a lot of stand-ups and a lot of comedians at their open mics, and it's like, man, they've told the same jokes for like for what's this called, for like months, Okay, you want to hear a JoJo joke? That's funny. A JoJo joke. Well, I mean, like, the thing is that, like, my what I'm finding about my like style of comedy is that I don't like, I like telling stories, you know. That's like because I've seen a lot of really funny shit in my life, and I think that like the shit that happens in real life is like way more funny and interesting than anything that I can come up with, you know. Anything that I can come up with, I feel like is just some contrived hope at coming anywhere near the absurdity of reality itself, you know. I'll tell you a joke. So like, this is like a bit that I'm trying to like work out, right? Because something that I think would be fun is to put together like kind of like my life story told through stand-up comedy bits. Your friend that was attacked by rats in NYC. Actually, you know what happened to that friend of mine? That I have a friend that was attacked by rats in New York City, and that friend of mine, she right now, in this very moment, has billions of rats in her shoes, in both shoes, in each shoe. Trillions of rats, hundreds of trillions of rats, like this, in every which direction. So, I'm my friend that was going through that is having a rough time on as far as rats go, unfortunately, because you can't go to the rats. If you like in New York City, you go to New York City, you're gonna run into rats. It's the only thing you know for sure. People leave their trash on the side of the road, then it leaks trash juice, and then the rats come and drink the trash juice, and then they find the source of the trash juice, and they eat through the banana peel trash bag and get in, and they pull out the trash guts and they eat it, and they cause that then attracts more rats, and then the next thing you know, you've got trillions of them. I know she's not wearing shoes. I'm saying in her shoes though, like not they wouldn't fit if she was wearing shoes, because rats take up space. So I'll be Mike franting it. Franting. What does that mean, franting? Mike franting it. Barefoot everywhere? I don't know Mike Franti. He's a barefoot prophet. Morty. Jim, I'm sorry I missed your goodbye if you're not still around, man. Bye-bye, Jim. No, I had never heard of Mike Franti, the barefoot musician. I'm going to check him out. He makes dank music. Heard that. All right, I'm going to check him out. I have a friend who's a yoga instructor, and he used to go strictly barefoot for like a year, I think. He went strictly barefoot in Miami. Which is pretty friggin' wild. He said he got kicked out of so many restaurants. Every restaurant that he went to, he got kicked out of. So I guess he got better at cooking. Man, way to make me feel uncool. No, yeah, I don't know Mike Frankie. Mike Frankie? Franti. Is it pronounced Franti or Franti? I'll figure it out. You don't gotta worry about it. So, yeah, I think it's like, obviously, like the violence that's been going on is a really complex issue, right? And the fact that people have been cooped up for so long certainly is contributing, you know, because what I really don't want to do is oversimplify anything. So let's see, like, I'm not sure. Oh, okay. I imagine you're talking about the pronunciation. Like, I guess because you know, anybody can be can snap at a moment. You know what I mean? And anybody can be irritated and irritable, right? But at the same time, it's like absolutely essential that we're not, right? Because I mean, like, what I was thinking about in particular was about this fight that happened last night, right? Like, this is Miami, and everybody in Miami has a gun, and that's what I was really what I kept thinking about afterwards. You know, I was like, you know, like, people have gotten killed like that in Miami by trying to, but just, I tried to break up a fight and I got, you know, whatever, stabbed in the neck, something like that, man. That kind of shit happens, you know? And so as I reflect on, like, what I can do to stay out of harm's way, it's also like how much of it is my responsibility to help my friends stay out of harm's way, and how can I do that, right? There's something that, like, I've always felt like my friends and family, like, I have a certain degree of responsibility over their wellness, and I think that can be healthy or that can be unhealthy. You know, now that I'm 35, very wise 35-year-old man. Here. There we go. My laptop charger stopped working for a second there. Hey, it's not working. That's strange. Of course, it would be incomplete if there were no technical difficulties happening. Strange. Like, it's like recognizing the charger and then dropping it, and it does that over and over again. Yeah, I don't know. All right, carry nunchucks. Yeah, we should just carry nunchucks. I was gonna have to, like, try and think about yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. I think, like, I mean, I'm gonna need to take the computer in, because remember, like, a few episodes ago, the computer kept on just shutting down in the middle of the episode, and that's unacceptable. You guys deserve better. You guys are the humans that deserve better. So we're gonna make sure that you get better, that this gets better, because it's not gonna stay bad, because it can't stay bad, because this is always gonna get better, and I'm gonna make sure that we get that we do better, get better every time, because if not, then you can punch me in my stupid face, because I told you that it was gonna get better and it didn't. So guess what? Sock it to me, pal. Pal. All right. At least I'm gonna need to take the computer into the shop, because like it's not like just randomly shutting down anymore. But I don't know what's up with this. It's at 15% already, and it's like going down pretty quickly. I'm gonna try and stay on till 7, so we can get that hour on. We deserve all the mic and all the teas. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to give it to you. You know. I don't like the way that this GoPro is coming through though. You know. I feel like it's so crisp on the overhead, but the what am I trying to say? You know, the upfront shot is not there yet. So you gotta figure that out. One step at a time. So like we always want to be like I'm like trying to think about like the whole like the concept of like alpha maleness and masculinity. I mean, as a former amateur boxer, lighting, really? Lighting, but I think that it's like looks like all your lighting coming from overhead. Oh, okay. Have to get some down low light. Word, heard that. Yeah, but like I'm saying that it's like not as crisp, you know? Like it's it has less resolution from the upfront camera, and I want it to be a little crisper. So that's something I gotta work on. Oh, you know what? Actually, I want to talk to you about tomorrow, because I want to stream with you guys, but I want to make sure that like that the audio, because what happened last time was that the audio, when I joined in the virtual tea room, the audio from the tea room wasn't coming through. So I don't know how to fix that, and I'm gonna try and fix that. I think that as I'm speaking, I'm figuring out how to do it, because if I like if I turn up that's the USB input, so maybe that'll work. We'll figure that out. That's a new tea pet. This guy's ridiculous. I got this from a little shop on Etsy, actually. They're called what are they called? Oleander Earthworks. Oleander Earthworks. Yeah. So masculine. Like, what does it mean to be masculine, right? Like, because something that I've heard, kind of download software called iShowMic. It will let your computer split your mic and internal computer audio. Cool. Okay. Thank you. iShowMic. I'll look that up. Thank you, Elise. Boom. Then you can have the two audio sources controllable. Oh, cool. Okay, I see. But yeah, but you're using a USB mic. My mic, I guess I would have my mixer as one output, and then the computer audio as a second output. That makes sense. Okay. I think we're on the same page about that. So like a lot of theorists talk about so-called agency and communion, and like agency is, they define agency as the drive toward like self-determination, and then they define communion as the drive towards being part of a group and being accepted and safe in a group. And then the general thought is that men that it is masculine to drive toward agency, and it is feminine to drive towards communion. It's masculine to drive towards independence, and it's feminine to drive towards group association and group belonging. And that generally men tend to think of things this is like what I've read from theorists, right? That men think of things tend to be more analytical, and women tend to be more relational, which is a form of analysis as well, you know. But it's like, yeah, that men are like, we're obsessed with our agency and thinking about how to execute some act to differentiate ourselves, right? Whereas women don't seem to be as concerned with differentiating themselves. They seem to be more concerned with like connecting the dots in ways that align with their, you know, purpose, with their meaning. And I think that, like, particularly in like it seems like anytime that there's violence, it's about domination, right? It's about somebody trying to dominate somebody else and assert their will. And our will is endless, you know. Our desires are endless. Like for me, for example, like I haven't meditated in like a week because I've been just running from thing to thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm so busy. Okay, I'll do it later. I can't do it now. I'll do it later. And it's so damaging in its own way, because it's like, what am I trying to say? Like our desires are endless. You know, we could spend forever chasing our desires, and at the end there would still be much more desires. As we die, we still want to keep on living, you know. So at least from the Buddhist perspective, that's like a big reason of why to meditate, you know. To practice meditation is to like not be swept away by your desires every time they come. Hey, I'm at 2%. My computer's about to die. Fuck. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sign off just because it's about to kick me off. I love you. I'm sorry about this. Thank you all for tuning in. And every time we'll get better. Rock and roll 2 times, 3 times, ladies and gentlemen. Every day we're gonna rock and roll with